And this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camella. What up, Chris?
What up, Chaez? You know that I still had to drop to a knee after what Kyle Schwarber did last night in that swing off.
Hey, man, we will get into everything going on in the world of sports. Welcome to the Outlet Forum. Thank you guys for tapping in. We are getting into everything that comes down to LeBron and that saga in LA. Yes, we'll get into everything and all the updates that's going on with that. Shaq is threatening RG3, and I think he means business in the last week. Also, that MLB swing off was something to behold last night. We'll get into all that. But first, Chris, we got to start off with the buyout that has been waiting to come for quite some time now. And it comes on the heels of him receiving 25% of his contract up front of the $55 million that he has on this upcoming season. And that is Bradley Beal, who has agreed to a buyout with the Phoenix Suns. He's going to give back $13.9 million reportedly, and plans to sign a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Clippers. So he really only leaves about $2 to $3 million on the table. He gets out of Phoenix, gets into LA. He does go from a $55 million player to a $5.5 million player on the open market once this 2-year deal is over. But Bradley Beal gets his way, and he seems to be on a contender, in my opinion, in LA. Chris, what do you make of the buyout, and what does this mean for the Clippers moving forward into next season, especially having so many guys locked up before training camp? Looks like all their moves are pretty much done.
Yeah, it appears so. This was one that was sort of widely expected. I know Beal's name had been kind of circulating. He had been linked to the Clippers. They were deemed the front runner. Originally, before the Norman Powell trade, he was linked to the Miami Heat. We heard Milwaukee could be in the mix for it, and of course, the LA Lakers. At the end of the day, I think the Clippers are a better fit for him. I am not the biggest Bradley Beal guy, especially the last 2 years. I think he was one of the big reasons, not the reason, but one of the reasons why they were so atrocious. His lack of durability, his inability to play off the ball, his inability to stay healthy, and his inability to defend. Ant-Man, go back to the playoffs 2 years ago in the 2024, or I should say a year and a half ago, 2024 playoffs. Anthony Edwards gave that fool the business. I mean, he really exposed Bradley Beal. Beal is at a stage in his career now where he needs to transition. He is no longer the 3-time All-Star that we saw in Washington. The guy has not played more than 50 games in 4 years either. That's the other aspect. But you're going into a situation of a team that's already a playoff team, has a structure, a very good coach in Ty Lue, and I think there is an opportunity where, even though the alignment on paper looks the same so in Phoenix, it was Durant, Booker, Beal. Now he's coming into a similar situation with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Here's the difference. Harden, over the last couple of years, over the last 5-6 years, I should say, has been more established as a point guard. So even though he's a ball-dominant guard, he's a guy who could actually initiate the offense. That's where I think the issue was in Phoenix, was the fact that they didn't have a true point guard to distribute to Durant, Booker, and of course Beal. Booker, that's not really his role. That's not really Beal's role, and that definitely wasn't Kevin Durant's role. So I think that's where he comes in. Is this move a big-time upgrade over Norman Powell? In my opinion, no. It's a bigger star name than Norman Powell, but Norman Powell was coming off of a very good season. He's a better fit, knew how to play alongside stars, and most importantly, Chaez, knew how to play off the ball. That's the thing. Now, what is Beal better than? Well, Beal is cheaper. You just said it yourself. 2 years, $11 million. You're only on the hook for 1 year. Phoenix is fronting most of his salary for this season. Norman Powell is going to be being paid $20.5 million in Miami this upcoming season. So this helps them. This does not elevate them to more of a contender status than they already were, in my humble opinion. That's what it is. However, Beal picked the right spot. Clippers were a better fit for him than the Lakers, and more of an opportunity there. Your thoughts, sir?
Mm, So I already told you in our personal thread that I'm gonna just wait to just cook you like hibachi tonight on this subject
Bring it,
because
bro.
you're absolutely wrong. You want to know why?
Of course
Because
I am.
you're looking at it from player to player. Of course, Norman Powell was a borderline all-star last year. Norman Powell is actually going to do more for the Heat next year than Bradley Beal is for the Clippers, just in their respective roles. But Beal to the Clippers is more impactful because of the other moves that the Clippers have made and how full of a roster they have. Because you're pairing Bradley Beal in a backcourt with James Harden, who is still a respectable, more than respectable, borderline all-star as
Yeah.
well currently, making, took a little bit of a haircut, making over 40 mil a year. James Harden and Beal in the backcourt. Beal is going to start reportedly. And that's kind of the expectation, especially as to why he decided to go to the LA Clippers. But also, you're pairing him with Kawhi Leonard on the front court, Ivica Zubac, and John Collins, who they got as well. So John Collins with somebody like Bradley Beal. And then on the back end, you got Chris Dunn, Derek Jones Jr.,
Brooke
Lopez coming from
Lopez. Yeah.
Milwaukee. Exactly. Like you have
Yeah.
all these guys to pair with Bradley Beal. If you're just comparing it on the surface up here, absolutely. But what's really going to make a big impact more than anything is who you have around you and also who's coaching you, who's calling the plays, who's the scheme guy. And Tyronn Lue is a much, much, much better coach than most in the league. So I really just, I'm
And
not
let
a
me say
Clipper
this.
fan. I'm not a
Right.
Clipper fan, but I am a basketball fan. And I'm excited for a roster like this, pending health. Again, at this point in of the year, everything is pending health. That's the little asterisk that's going with any of these little predictions or, conversations that we're having about projecting rosters and this and that. Health is always key, but the Clippers are right there with the Thunder and with the Rockets. And a lot of people think that the Nuggets took a few steps forward as well. I think I think personally the Lakers are right there as well, in my opinion. But we'll get into that next subject. The Clippers are going to be a top three seed in the West. You could go ahead and book that.
Yeah, I would say top four ish, just health dependent and everything. I agree. The John Collins pickup was nice. They were able to retain Nick Batum. I still like Derek Jones Jr. Chris Dunn was having a good season. I think Lopez in a backup center role is an excellent luxury for them. And they do seem to be a deeper squad. There's just two things I want to point out, a good and a bad. One, I agree with you. The Ty Lue situation, the coaching staff, because if you recall, they got the best out of Russell Westbrook. Even though Westbrook had been a little bit conditioned coming up off the bench, he was still resistant to it. Now that Beal was sort of resistant to that with Mike Budenholzer in Phoenix, but he still did it. Now I think this is a situation where he'll start, but he'll be more comfortable with playing off the ball. And the Clippers have taken chances on these types of guys. They've taken a chance on Westbrook. They've taken a chance on Ben Simmons. They've taken a chance. Go back earlier. Rajon Rondo, DeMarcus Cousins. They're not
Those
afraid
days
to
are
take.
over, though.
Right. No, but I'm saying
Now,
they've taken these chances on guys who've had success in their career. And let's see if they are willing to transition to a lesser role coming up off the bench or, a lesser role within a starting lineup and go from there. That's the positive I think that Beal will bring to the table. Still a decent three-point shooter. He still kind of flirts with being 50, 40, 90, but the durability and the lack of defense, Chaz, that's the thing. Not to say Norman Powell, if you watch the first round series, he got played off the floor against Denver in that first round series last year. So that could very well happen to Bradley Beal again, just like it could have happened to Norman Powell again. However, the issue is when I look at that Clippers team, you have an aging James Harden about to go into I believe this is going to be year 17, year 15 for Kawhi Leonard, including all the knee surgeries. And with Bradley Beal, I believe this will be year 14 for him. That is an aged squad in a youthful, dynamic, deep Western Conference. And perimeter defense, Chaz, especially in this conference, is everything. That is what I was saying, that Beal may not help elevate them, because I'm also discounting his ability to just stay on the court, period. So you have a couple of
oh,
factors
you
working
are.
against him that could impact, could derail his overall impact, especially in the playoffs.
I'll say this. It's amazing how a positive winning situation can sometimes cure some injuries and will have players back on the court a little faster in LA than it may be in Charlotte or Atlanta or wherever you may have it. I'm just saying, like, I'm really curious to see how motivated Beal is playing for, he's not from LA, but he has a lot of LA ties through his wife and friends and family and things of that nature. So
Right.
I'm curious to know how he's going to respond in a new environment with the great coaching staff that he's going to have with Jeff Van Gundy and Tyronn Lue. I keep bringing them up because those guys are going to be the key guys to get the most out of him, especially on the defensive end that you're poo-pooing him on. So I think he's just going to, not rightfully so, based on how he looked in Phoenix, but there's a reason why the guy in Phoenix got fired and why they had to trade KD, right? It was an organizational failure in Phoenix more so than just Bradley Beal himself, which is why to him, in my opinion, he shouldn't have gave back a single dollar. But in order to get out of the situation that he was in, not being wanted, you get back 1 or 2 million, you're going to make it back on the back end. You're not giving up half your salary or even three-quarters of it. Hell, you already got 25% of your salary direct deposited yesterday, 24 hours ago already. And we're not even in August, which is a hell of a deal. Like the fact that, like this Bradley Beal contract, who signed that? Was that was that Weaver?
Yeah, that might have been
Like,
Weaver with Conley. Yeah, and
I
like you
mean,
said, he gave
this
up
guy had a no
13.9.
no trade clause,
Right.
25% upfront, the absolute max for 5 years, over $50 million, 55 now. I mean, golly, hell of a
There's a
deal.
lot that goes into this. And by the way, DeAndre Ayton is with the Lakers is in a similar situation. He's going to be making what 33, 34 million dollars from the Portland Trailblazers this year, in addition to what the Lakers are going to be paying him on the 2 year. He signed the same thing, the 2 year, $11 million with a
It's
player option for 26, 27.
right. And you give up, I mean, and Aiton's giving up less money to get in my opinion, an even better situation because Aiton is going to start and play probably even more minutes than Beal is because of that center position that Aiton's going to play. Let's go ahead and transition into the Lakers right now because
Yes, sir.
there's a lot going on. But the report today, after all the dust is settled, after all the statements and comments, and even LeBron telling Dave McMenamin at Summer League this past weekend, I ain't got nothing to talk about. LeBron James is reportedly not being traded, no talks with management on a buyout, a trade, a release, a waive, a stretch, a nothing. LeBron James is expected to be in El Segundo on Media Day at the end of October and will begin the season in a Laker uniform. And I've said this since day one, Chris. If you guys are listeners of the pod and watch the show on YouTube, subscribe, tell your friends to tell a friend as well, by the way.
Tell your
Um,
friends.
LeBron James was never going anywhere.
I
And
agree.
I just want to say I just want to say this. He's pissed, and rightfully so, because he's still a top 10, maybe even top 5 player in the game. Top 10 definitely because he was second all NBA second team last year and he didn't get offered a contract extension. Now, how mad can he be because he didn't even ask for one either,
Hmm.
reportedly, is also the other side to that coin. But if I'm him, you're making all these changes, you're selling the franchise. Yes, I get a heads up about that. Reportedly, he didn't at first, and then after the article comes out from Ramona Shelburne and Brian Windhorst, it gets updated and retracted that he actually did know. Um, he did, but he didn't get a heads up about Luca, and the more time that goes on, the more I believe that as well. He just didn't know upfront the way that he probably should have in the past, and also you got Luca getting, Mark Williams getting traded for, DeAndre Ayton or bought out and signed. Even though the Mark Williams thing didn't go true, you're already catering to Luca. You're having meetings with him in the back alley of a restaurant, back corner of a restaurant, and dimly lit restaurant. With a
Yeah.
binder coming out with JJ Redick. There's all this stuff going on, and LeBron, rightfully so, should be pissed because no extension was offered, no communication, no collaboration.
Yeah.
like it has been for the last six,
6
seven
years.
years
Yeah.
since he's been in LA. So I say all that to say, yes, he's pissed, but the Lakers are doing exactly what they have to do and need to do, as Luka is the priority for the Los Angeles Lakers. It isn't unreasonable for the Lakers to take the position that they have, but it does at the same time make things uncomfortable for LeBron, and he's making things uncomfortable back because the Lakers said nothing. He opts in, he drops the statement.
Mm-hmm.
The statement is ambiguous at best, right?
Passive aggressive, the LeBron James special.
He has no leverage to even
Yeah.
say, like, hey, I want to go here, I want to go there. You can't really put
Yeah.
pressure on Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss like that, even though the pressure already is the pressure because the Lakers standard is championship. So I don't know why you would need to apply that much pressure. You want to trade picks and swaps and stuff for marginal players that aren't going to make a big difference. You already
Right.
signed DeAndre Ayton. You got the best player on the open market
And
at
they're
center.
right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I don't
I
I don't get it. I'll let you take it from here.
I thought you unpacked that very well. It was a good piece, by the way, by Ramona, and I believe Brian Windhorst of ESPN. I know Ramona a little bit. Very, these are people close to the situation. These are people that have sources within the Lakers, within the two camps, and everything like that. Look, it's hard to transition from an older star to a younger star. The reason why the Kobe situation was unique was because there really wasn't a star already on the team. It was sort of, if you go back to 2016, that situation was a mess. It was a youth movement with D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson, etc. This situation is different because you have an aging star, but still playing at a very high level, which is something we've never really seen in NBA history, Chaz. Kareem was done in 89. He was clearly a shell of his former self, even though he was still a primary target with the Lakers. At that point, let's be honest, that was Magic and James Worthy's team, at that juncture in Kareem's career. Dirk was
Right.
already kind of done as well when Luka kind of came in. He had knee issues and everything, and the numbers reflected it with some of these guys. Those are really the only two I could think of respective stars where there was sort of like this transition. I suppose you could say David Robinson with Tim Duncan, but it was already sort of Duncan's team the last
It's never
3-4
happened.
years. Yeah, exactly. We've never seen a 40-year-old play at this kind of high level where he's still a tier 1 superstar. However, he's still 40 years old. He's going to be 41 in December. He's going into 23, year 23. Yes, the numbers are still great. Absolutely. However, we need to think about the future. And even when Anthony Davis was still here, what were we saying? Who are we going to pair with Anthony Davis? Right? It was never going to be a clean handing
Trae
of the
Young.
torch to, right. But I'm just saying, it was never going to be a clear handing of the torch. It was like, okay, you give it to AD, but for how long? We need that tier 1 guy. We need a Kyrie, a Trae Young, a Luka, a Giannis, somebody in that realm of superstars. So now they bring in Luka, and what's weird, it's like LeBron's not happy yet. You're being paired with another superstar, something you've been doing consistently for the last 15 years. Anthony Davis, Dwayne Wade,
Chris,
Chris
hold on, really
Bosh,
quick.
K-Love, and
That's
Kyrie.
we don't know his position, right? But I can tell you this: he's not unhappy about playing with Luca. So, like, let's not
Yeah,
present it that
I
way.
get it. No, absolutely. I'm just saying though, it's a unique situation, right? Where I thought the Lakers were sort of like in this position where they still are maximizing LeBron's window, and to top it off, you have a star in the making here with the Lakers. You're going to have a superstar here for hopefully the next, if it's not going to be 10 years, at least the next 7 to 8 years that you're going to have a star here. I understand all of that. And what LeBron needs to understand is this: we are still focused on winning, but we also need to focus on some of our younger players that we hope to build around, Austin Reeves included. I think the Lakers believe he will be a building block, maybe not, the co-pilot to Luka, but a significant piece on this team. So there's that aspect of it. I understand it sucks. And when players are facing their own mortality, Chaz, and I think Tom Brady dealt with this with the New England Patriots as well, it's almost like it feels like you're being pushed out the door. And you combine this trade with the sell of the team and him kind of being on the back burner of it, it creates a murky future. And for a guy that's been used to having so much control and power within these organizations, whether it be Cleveland or even before that with Miami, and of course, most recently with the Lakers, it is difficult now to transition. It is. And you're all of a sudden facing your own career mortality. And also, the Lakers have to do what's best for the organization, man. Not one player is bigger than this organization. That, go back to winning time. Red Auerbach, what did he say? He said, Havlicek, Kuzi, Russell, Bird, they'll come and go. But the culture and the standard that we set here in Boston, it'll continue to drive, because that's the biggest thing. And Jerry Buss said, what about you, Red? He's like, I'm fine with it, because I built this to be bigger than me too. The LeBron is not bigger than the Laker brand. I think that's another aspect of this as well. You may not want to agree, but that's true.
He's not. He's never been, and he knows that. But I just want to take a moment to remind everybody, this is the guy. Look at skinny Luka, man.
Hey, he looks great.
And we haven't even made it to October, so we got another 3 months to go. Look, he wasn't even in shape. He was coming off the calf injury. Luka was going through it. He got traded. He was building his house.
The calf injury.
The calf injury. And they were trying to rush him back.
Yeah,
and he actually took his time. Luckily, he didn't get injured again.
And think about this, Chaez. They were still winning a high percentage of games with him at 75%, maybe. I just wanted to point that out. Could continue.
Yeah.
But I wanted to point that out. I thought that was significant.
Yeah, exactly. So but the fact that skinny Luka is now a thing, right? And he's going to get a full training camp with JJ Redick. He's going to get time with DeAndre Ayton on the court, who's already familiar with or has a relationship with a little bit through his agent, because they have the same agent. I'm excited for this Laker team. No, they're not going to be better on paper than about 3, 4, 5, 6 other teams in some people's opinions. But I do think that they have one of the better starting fives in the league between Luka, LeBron, Austin, Rui, and DeAndre Ayton. Now it's just that bench on the back end that's just, man, you got to get better than I think Miami Gabe Vincent was good, but you got to get better than LA Gabe Vincent. You got to get better than Vando. Obviously, you're going to keep Jackson Hayes at this point, but you do have some expiring deals that you can possibly swap from.
Yeah,
I'm curious to know what Rob's plan is.
Yeah.
And
they still need two pieces. They still need two pieces, both perimeter defenders. I like the fact that I'm going to set this up for you. Josh Okogie just got cut from the Charlotte Hornets, $7.75 million that they did not want to guarantee, obviously. Solid 3-and-D player, knows how to play alongside stars.
I would take him on the minimum. Absolutely.
Yes, take him on the minimum. I think he'd be willing to come on the minimum. And Marcus Smart, who we talked about last week. I know you're not.
You're going to give up guys for that.
Yeah,
that's multiple guys.
Right, but I'm okay with that. It's a former defensive player of the year.
Would you trade Rui for him?
For a backcourt that doesn't have anything? I think you could get him without giving up Rui. Washington's not going to want Rui back. They could have Gabe Vincent. They could have Maxi Kleber and the second rounder. Go get Marcus Smart. You need a perimeter defender, multiple perimeter defenders for three guys. For three guys.
You know what, Chris? Yeah. If you can get him for that price, you pull that trigger 10 times out of 10, twice on Sunday. So I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. And I won't beat this to death, but
sure.
People are just out of their minds for thinking that taking LeBron off the LA roster will make them better. Let me just tell you guys right now, if you want LeBron James off the roster, you're going to have to wait at least another year or two. Because in my opinion, LeBron is going to have another great season paired with Luka, paired with a prepared JJ Redick and training camp.
Austin Reeves.
Obviously, pending Austin Reeves, DeAndre Ayton. They're going to have a great season, a good to great season. LeBron James is going to re-up after this season for another 50-something million with the Lakers. Why? Because the Lakers take care of their stars. And if LeBron is still playing at an all NBA level, where they'll be first, second, or third team, he warrants $50, $55 million, $60 million if he's still playing at that level. And based on what we've seen, he is going to continue to do so. So with that being said, just get that hate out your heart if you think LeBron James doesn't belong on the Lakers or doesn't belong, on another team for a long period of time. He's going to play for as long as he wants to play at the high level that he is. He just created drama for his own self, which is why Rich Paul has had to put out a statement and go on NBA XM radio and back up this and back up that and talk to Dan Patrick. And meanwhile, LeBron is telling McMenamin, I ain't got nothing to talk about,
And
nothing to
also,
see here.
I don't know if you heard McMenamin today. I think it was on NBA Today. He said, don't be surprised if this is LeBron's final year. I mean, he's been alluding to it a little bit more in recent years. Granted, he's still playing 70
like
plus.
retirement.
Yeah. So that could be and that's where I thought originally when he opted in, I'm like, I wonder if this is going to be his
You know
final
what?
season. And it wouldn't shock me. Go back to the New York game. Listen how he talked. You never know if this will be my last year. Listen how his season has ended. What he said.
I do not. Here's the thing, man. Players like him retire when he doesn't have the burn or the it or the desire to continue to train to be at the level that he is. LeBron has not suffered catastrophic injuries like Jordan, like Bird,
Kobe.
like Kobe, to force himself to have to rehab these major injuries season after season, off season after off season. So to me, as long as he's going to continue to want to train, which he trains all year round at this point and is in shape all year round and has been for the better part of 23 years, he's going to continue to play. So I thought that as well, Chris, but I think there's no way we are watching a season and LeBron announces that he's retiring at the All Star break or a month into the season. He's going to know a year, not a year, at least months before that final season, and he's going to let us know. And he's going to have a final farewell. And it still could happen between now and October, but based on everything that has happened, I doubt it.
Hold on before we move on. I wanted to get to one of the questions we had from your guy, Marcus Garcia Draper, MGD, Miller Genuine Draft. Do y'all think Bronny coming back out of the summer league? Wanted to kind of get your take on that, Chaez.
And how do you interpret that? Like coming back out of the summer league,
is he going to make the training camp roster? Yeah, I mean, I think
he's signed. He has a guaranteed deal for for at least 2 years of the 4 years that he has. I think maybe the whole 4 years is guaranteed, to be honest.
Right.
But he's guaranteed to be on the roster, which is why he's playing summer league and he's looking damn good doing it, especially in that last game.
Yeah, I think he's been. I think
the other night as well.
Yeah, so. he showed up against Cooper Flagg. He's looked really good. You could see the improvement compared to where he was last year in summer league. So what is his role going to be in the NBA? I still don't know. It's like a minor league ball player that starts to produce in the minors, and the question is, can this guy do what he's doing in the G League or in the minor leagues, and can he do it at the big league level? That's going to be the big question for Bronny, doing it consistently. But then again, that's a question for anybody. That's a question for Cooper Flagg. That's a question for VJ Edgecombe. That's a question for Ace Bailey. For a lot of the top guys drafted, is can they do what they did in college or what they're doing in summer league and bring it to the NBA level? So I am glad to see the improvement that he's out there playing with more confidence and more fluidity and not so hesitant. But the question will remain, how does this translate to the NBA? And we'll get a better understanding of that come training camp and early on next season.
Absolutely. Good question. Good question. Let's move on really quick. We're going to keep it in the basketball arena, but it's got a little bit of a football twist to it because there's a guy by the name of RG3 who just can't seem to keep Angel Reese's name out of his mouth. And Shaq actually had something to say on the Off the Record podcast with Bailey Jackson. Let's take a listen to what Shaq had to say.
Oh, we got sound over here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, big dog.
Yeah, and by the way, RG3 is Robert Griffin III, former NFL quarterback. Did he win a Heisman? He won a Heisman, right?
He did. He did win a Heisman.
He won a Heisman. Yeah.
But if you listen to what Shaq has to say, he doesn't have G14 classification to say what he's saying as it pertains to Angel Reese. Take a listen.
All right.
Tweet another monkey post about my girl Angel Reese and punch in your face. Okay? It's enough. Like, I don't usually do stuff like this, but just stop it, bro. You got your job, you got your podcast, leave my Angel Reese alone. I'm the one calling her and telling her not to respond. Stop it. That's the last time.
Put a full mask.
Man. So, I mean, you have that. You have Shaq.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just to give a little backstory,
Shaq ain't playing.
number one, Shaq ain't playing, but number two, RG3 has crossed this line a couple times. Ryan Clark has had to get at him. That got a little bit messy. Um, Also because Ryan Clark mentioned, RG3's Caucasian wife who was sitting in the background clapping while RG3 was making his point about pitting Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark against each other, saying that they don't like each other. And in my opinion, if so, who cares? But this monkey post and I'm not even going to post it on here. It's just a racist, demeaning illustration of the underbelly of our society and our country. And a lot of people didn't see it until RG3 decided to post it on his platform. And he knew that he was going to do this to be able to get some kind of reaction, even though he was saying, hey, this is wrong. You shouldn't do this and that. Where he took it a step further is he said that he had spoken to somebody in Angel Reese's camp who said and confirmed that Angel Reese doesn't like Caitlin Clark. And again, in my opinion, even if she did, who cares? But Angel Reese's mom got involved and replied to RG3, telling him that he was wrong. And I don't know who you're talking to in this circle, but it ain't anybody that is worthy to say that and know that it's true. So it's gotten real messy. And then I just wanted to take a moment really to just put it on Front Street that like we know who RG3 is at this point. And like I don't know him personally, but based on his record, based on what other people have said about him, based on what other of his colleagues have mentioned about him in passing, in talking to him, this is kind of par for the course for him. And to me, for a guy who is so talented that has a statue outside of Baylor University, a Heisman winning quarterback, to be known for his podcast, to be known for these Angel Reese WNBA, topics and takes is just it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So hopefully he'll clean it up and he really will see the forest for the trees and know that the people in his community, the black people in this community, that he's, because it's not really about black and white, but he's making it about that by trying to pit them against each other. The old adage of black and white in the United States of America, and pitting them against each other and highlighting what the differences are and why it's so polarizing of a topic. I get it. I get it, bro. Get your views, get your likes, get your
Clicks,
you get your clicks, get your streams, get your checks. I get it. But at a certain point, it has to stop at a certain point, because you're trying to press this button and push a certain agenda that isn't flowing in the way that you want to. And the people who see it, like I, and even Chris and Cheryl Swoops and Nick Young and even Shaquille O'Neal and Gilbert Arenas, because I'm watching their podcast as well and them talking about it. We see you for who you are at this point. And Ryan Clark doesn't look bad at all. And some of the heat that he took in the comments that he made towards RG3, RG3 is just doubling down and making Ryan Clark look even better, because he just can't seem to keep a black woman like Angel Reese, the negativity about a black woman, out of his mouth. So it's just disappointing, man.
Yeah, it is. Shaq, and this is personal. The word I'm going to use right now is personal. This all feels personal, right? It's one thing to criticize a player. We do that all the time, Chaez. Who sucked, who played like trash, who did this, but we talk about it within the realm of the game. How they played that night, how they played that series, how they played in their career. I just did that with Bradley Beal. I am not up here trying to insult Bradley Beal's character or, who he is or, like what he looks like. You know what I mean? Like that's below the belt for me. You know what I mean? And it's unprofessional. And I'm wondering if those kind of comments have been made to RG3 or were made about RG3, how would he feel about that? Right? If a guy like me called RG3 a monkey, right? You know what I mean? A Caucasian male. Oh, yeah. You don't think he would feel some kind of way about that? We have to
Now
show
again,
a little.
just to clarify, he didn't call her that. He
Right.
reposted what somebody else did, but
Understood. But I'm just saying in general. All right. Let's say somebody said, hey, look at RG3 and look at, you know what I mean? Like, that's just mean right
making
there.
the point. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm making the point. I mean, I would be, canceled the next day, dude. This would be the end of this podcast and God only knows what else. I mean, I would never, ever do anything like that. That's not my nature and everything like that. But when it's come to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, it's almost like they're trying to recreate the Bird Magic dynamic that we saw in the late 70s and obviously throughout the 80s and whatnot. But even then, there was still like a standard to it. You know what I mean? There was still, granted, it was before the time of social media and the internet and everything like that, the 24-hour news cycle. We didn't have debate shows and talk shows like we do now. So, and the reason why Shaq is feeling some kind of way, and like you said, Gilbert Arenas and the others, is the fact that Shaq knows Angel Reese personally. There's the LSU connection. He probably sees her as like a little sister and everything like that. So yeah, this is personal to Shaq. And I can't blame him for that. Shaq is, not a commentator or whatnot. So it's like, hey, if you come after one of his, he's going to feel some kind of way. He's going to say what he has to say. If for Griffin, what's so funny is that you look at his post, God is good, another day. This is what upsets me. And Chaez, I know you're a God-fearing man. This is another aspect too. I know you're a God-fearing man. I'm a confirmed Catholic and whatnot. I believe in God. When you say all of these things about being religious and believing in God and God is good, we should all try to live our lives a little bit better, right? Not try to elevate ourselves by bringing others down, but being respectful to one another, a little more respectful. I'm not saying we got to like one another. I'm not even saying we have to agree with one another. Just be more respectful. That's what it is. You want to criticize Angel Reese? I'm not a fan. Her game this, Caitlin Clark. Okay, that's your opinion. Keep it within the realm of basketball. You know what I mean? Keep it within that realm. Let's stop going after certain people and everything like that. So it's just, I understand what Marcus is saying right here, needs to clean her attitude up about the game and everything like that. Yeah. But I mean, we could say that about a lot of players in the NBA throughout professional sports. Are we out there saying, basically borderline racist things? No, we're not. So, we just need to be a little bit better in general. And RG3, being a black quarterback, which is something, Chaez, as you know, in this history of the NFL, we don't have a high percentage of black quarterbacks. So, how would he feel if people were saying RG3 is, not black? Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't want to repeat any of this, but how would he feel if people were trying to bring him down? You know what I mean? In regards to that, I just think all of this sucks, man. And the fact that we're even talking about this sucks.
Here's the thing. He's already dealt with it. Yeah, the media tried to pit him and Kirk Cousins against each other, black and white starter versus the backup after he got hurt.
Which is wrong.
So he's dealt with it. So it's not like he doesn't know any better. He knows better. Right. So that's the more disappointing thing. But I don't want to give him too much shine, especially on another platform, because this topic is the reason why he probably went full board on this topic for like the third or fourth time that he's speaking out against Angel Reese or for Caitlin Clark or on the subject or against the subject, whatever it may be. Like, this is just his wave that he's trying to ride to success. And it's probably working a little bit because we're talking about it and others are talking about it as well. So,
not all clicks, and this is my thing for us, to all podcasters, not all clicks are good clicks. That's not the kind of clicks that you want sometimes by appealing to a certain type of base. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say. So,
speaking of another base, Chris, let's get a little bit more lively in here. Major League Baseball is doing their thing right now. And Rob Manfred, the commissioner of the MLB, should get all of the flowers between the pitch clock, the ABS system that actually debuted in the MLB All Star game last night, and actually turned a Manny Machado ball into a third strike and an out, which I thought was great, especially it being Manny as well. Just a little
Of
bit of
course.
icing on the cake. Clayton Kershaw in his probably his last
That
All
was
Star
cool.
game,
Yeah.
talking. But then you had the swing off, Chris, and somehow, some way, the AL, the American League, tied it up at 6 in the top of the ninth, and we were able to witness this. I just want to take you inside really quick because the fact that we were able to see something like this was pretty special. And I don't know if we're going to see it again. I don't know if it's going to be something that is going to be adopted, but I personally think that is good for baseball, and they should adopt this over putting that ghost runner at second. That's just me, but I know you're more of a baseball purist than I am.
Yeah.
Um, I would call myself a purist, man. That
No.
home run by Rooker was actually pretty good. But
Yeah.
Chris, what did you make of not only the swing off in the All Star game and how it ended? Did kind of suck that Otani and Judge were
Yeah.
already in street clothes, did their interviews and out of the stadium by the time this actually happened.
Right.
But what did you make of it? And would you have it replace the Ghost Runner during the regular season only, not in the playoffs, instead?
Yeah, so let me start off. First of all, shout out to the City of Atlanta. Really, they put on a great show. Chris Ludacris Bridges put on a great pregame show. Kane Brown did a great rendition of Georgia on My Mind. I thought the intros were all right. The home run derby was pretty cool. I didn't like some of the changes that they made as far. I like the bonus round, but just keep it as a clock, not 3 outs and 4 outs and all that. Just do an additional like minute or whatever. That was my issue with the home run derby, and I like the head-to-head matchups. I wish they would bring that back for all 3 rounds instead of just the final 2. So as far as the game went, dude, it was awesome. We haven't seen a high-scoring game like that in a long time. Granted, it was only 6-6, but we had some drama, and that's not something we've seen a lot of in recent All-Star games. So that was pretty cool. Excellent comeback by the AL. Awful pitching. Relief pitching, especially from the San Diego Padre guys. Adrian Morjon and Robert Suarez were awful in that game. But shout out to the AL All Stars. They kept chipping away and finding the holes and scoring runs. But the swing off, I think, is really good for these events. For the All Star game, that's cool. Would I want to see that in the postseason? Yeah, Schwarber was outstanding. The swing off was awesome. It sucks that you had a guy like Jonathan Aranda in there because we know Aaron Judge would have easily taken that spot. Rooker and Arozarena were good, but yeah, Aranda clearly did not belong in that group. So you had that, but it was good. It was really fun. I thought Schwarber was outstanding. He showed how clutch he was. And shout out, by the way, Dodger third base coach Dino Ebel. He deserves to share that
Had a little
MVP
break on
trophy
it.
with
Break on
Schwarber.
it.
Like, he was getting it exactly where these guys wanted to get it. So outstanding job. And it got to the point where Pete the Meat, the polar bear, Pete Alonso, didn't even need to appear in the final round. But yeah, Otani Judge would have been nice. But I think what's cool about this, Chaez, the ABS system you can incorporate for the games. Pitch clock is cool. The swing off, little too gimmicky for the regular season. I would say keep it for these events. For now. I don't want to see a playoff game decided by this. You know what I mean?
No, not a playoff
maybe.
game. A regular season, extra inning in the 10th. If we're okay putting a ghost runner on second.
Yeah. It was fun for the All-Star game. I need a little more time with it. I need to see it again.
Okay, let me.
I'm a purist, bro.
Hold on. Let me ask the question. You can answer.
Go ahead.
Why is change in baseball fought at such a high level than in any other sport? Just answer that question to me.
I think it's fought throughout, by the way. I think there is some changes in the NBA where it's fought. It's fought in football. I think what it is the game has been around so long. You know, it's still known as America's pastime. I mean, shoot, they've been playing professional baseball since like the late 1890s. You know what I mean? The NBA and stuff, they didn't come around for another like 50, 60 years. The NFL didn't come around till what? You know, the 50s, you know? So, I mean, baseball, yeah, in the 30s, but I'm just saying, like, the sport of baseball has been around. So, yeah, you do have these changes that people are resistant to, and I think MGD says it best. It is tradition. there is a long-standing tradition of how the game should be played. Doesn't mean that these ideas are bad. The wild card format was cool. The expansion of the wild card format has been pretty good so far. It's been kind of intriguing how they've changed some things. I'm glad they changed up the home run derby. That event was almost like the slam dunk contest on life support. They've done some good things. I'm just wondering, is this a little too gimmicky where we may need to see it in this kind of event one more time before you start implementing it into an NBA, or I'm sorry, into an MLB, the MLB regular season? That's the thing. I just think we need to see a little bit more of it before we make that kind of decision. But it was really cool for one night.
So are you slow on the ABS then?
No, ABS is good because umpires get a lot of that stuff wrong.
So ABS should be implemented today, in your opinion.
Three challenges, yeah. I think it's the equivalent of a challenge,
Okay.
Yeah. And Tarek Skubal did a good job of that yesterday. Who else challenged and they got it right? One of the other players.
But shouldn't all balls and strikes just be called through the ABS system?
They're eventually going to get there. They're implementing it slowly, but I think
in
this is a good
tennis.
start.
I'm not disagreeing with it. They still allow in tennis. We just saw Alcaraz go down to Skinner on Sunday. You see the up in the chair make the call, but it's backed up with the ABS imagery, in the background. Like, I think all of these changes, in my opinion, I know it's tradition, but I do think all of these changes, they're on a roll right now. There's been nothing about baseball that has been changed that's been a negative in the past. However many years. They're giving minor leagues more players or more pay.
Mm-hmm.
The draft is better. Yeah. The pitch clock is better.
Pitch clock has been good.
The getting rid of the shift was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The
changes have been positive. I'm just wondering now. I guess this is going to be
the sticky stuff, even though it was controversial.
Yeah. I think this is the equivalent. And even I was talking to my girl about this too yesterday. And I was like, I want, she's even saying, so this is like penalty kicks in soccer. I'm like, yeah, this is almost on par with penalty kicks in soccer, penalty shots.
Exactly.
Penalty shots in hockey, which I'm not sure. Are they still doing that? Yeah. They still go to the shootout in the regular season only, not in the playoffs. That's where I think the biggest question is. Do you implement this in there's no ghost runner. There's no ghost runner in the playoffs. So you play the innings out. I'm wondering, is this going to be the case in the playoffs? Probably not. I would like to see a little bit more of it before we start seeing it every day.
Chris,
in baseball,
you wouldn't see it every day because only 9% of regular season games go to extra innings. 91% of games are decided within 9 innings.
Here's the compromise.
So you wouldn't, if you only kept it in if you only kept it in the regular season, you wouldn't even see it once every 10 games.
Okay, let me give you my compromise. You play 9 innings. You play 1 inning of extra innings, the 10th. You don't go straight into it, just like they do in hockey. They do, before they get to shootouts, they play an overtime period, 30 minutes or 15 minutes or something. And then you get into shootouts. I would be cool with something. And I think in soccer too, they do the stoppage time, then the extra time, then they get to PKs.
So
I would say, hold on, listen. So you still keep the ghost runner thing going. And then if you get into the 11th, that's when you do the swing off.
I can't do both.
Okay. Well, then
I'm
that's my opinion.
I would implement it for innings 11 and on. 10th would be the 10th with no ghost runner. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, in soccer, there's 2 halves before shootout. Okay, yeah. So it's no, I figured that. I was unsure because I know I get the rules confused between hockey and soccer sometimes with as far as the overtime and the extra time and all of that. So thanks, MGP.
Let's talk about soccer for about 2 minutes, which is actually 2 minutes longer than we should be talking about it. So I say all that to say,
don't hate on soccer, brother.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm actually can't wait to buy my tickets for the World Cup for 2026 next year. I'm just really excited for what baseball is doing. and hopefully, this swing off would be it, it would be the greatest change that they've made to the game, even better than uh the pitch clock, because of the entertainment value, and because at the end of games people would be excited knowing that the best three, and the fact that these players are already picked, right? Like going into the game, like, hey, who's going to be in the game still at the end of the game? Okay, you already have who your three guys would be in the swing off. So for the Dodgers, it'd be, you know, Mookie, Freddie, Otani, and then for somebody like, the Padres, it would be what, Tatis, Machado, and Arias, or like who would be their guys? Like
Yeah, right. Of course, you'd have
in
to
New,
pick.
New,
You'd
New
have
York, it would be Chisholm, Stanton, Judge,
Yeah,
like
of course, or or Bellinger, maybe. Cody Bellinger. He's got that big swing, so he has a 3
right.
home run game this season. So yeah, I mean, you'd have to figure out the rules and everything like that. Like if you're taken out of a game, right? Are you eligible to be in the swing off? We found out yesterday that you had to be on the field. So
I'm good with that.
yeah,
I'm
no.
good with that.
So I think that's where it makes it a little sticky. So we'll see, but it was fun. Let's keep it on the task at hand. It was fun for the night. I thought a lot of the players played well. Shout out to Brent Rooker, 3-run home run. He had a really good showing too in the whatchamacallit, in the home run derby. Unfortunately, didn't make it into the semis on a technicality because of a couple of inches that Cal Raleigh's home run distance wise. But it was a good overall event. Clayton Kershaw being mic'd up was awesome. That was cool. There were a lot of just cool moments in this game, and the game itself was exciting. Never mind the swing off. When was the last time we had a game that ended in a tie after 9 innings? We haven't seen that in forever. Not since 2002, when the game ended in a tie. So,
Right.
Yeah, it was cool. Good event. Now we got we got second half of the season starting on Friday. Dodgers trying to, build on that 2-game winning streak. You got the trade deadline coming up. A lot of names being thrown out there right now. So it's a good time of year for baseball. They own this month.
Absolutely. They do. I'm just excited to see if these Dodgers are going to get it together in the second half. But we'll be talking a lot more baseball in the upcoming weeks, especially in the NBA and NFL offseason. We're actually only less than 2 weeks away from NFL training camps opening up as well, Chris. And the NBA season will be here before you know it. So thank you guys for tapping in with us. You guys already know what it is, getting into everything from NBA, NFL, and even MLB now. You guys know where to follow us on Instagram at Chaz Pearson, on Twitter at Chaz P as well. Chris, you already know where they can follow you, but go ahead and let them know.
Absolutely. At Chris_Camelo on Twitter, CCamelo1 on Instagram. Be sure to follow us on the Outlet Forum on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And we always have clips of the show and links and everything. So if you miss it live, no worries. You can check it out next day. Appreciate it. Thank you, MGD. Thank you to everyone on my Instagram feed. Appreciate you guys. It'll be good.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week, and we'll have a special guest talking all things Lakers. We'll tell you guys about that upcoming next week. See you guys later. Peace.